For more on Manchester City and indeed Foden, we are now joined by former defender Danny Mills. Good morning, Danny.
Morning, Danny.
Morning, Ali. Morning, Alan.
Danny, was there any time, even at 1-0, you thought the tie might have been a little bit in jeopardy?
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, Dortmund, when they get that goal, they had a different game plan to what they play in the league, in the Bundesliga, week in, week out. They were happy to sit back, and they did it in both legs, really. Bank of 4, bank of 5, and they left Haaland up front on his own, and really sort of starved of any service or possession. But when they get that goal, and then De Bruyne hits the bar, Bellingham clears the ones off the line just in front of the goalkeeper from Mahrez. You start to think, is it going to be one of those nights, where they have hundreds of shots and don't get the win? But they kept patient. City do what they do best, kept passing the ball around, kept creating chances, and in the end it paid off.
He had a chance, Hummel, didn't he? With a header. Great free kick in the box from Royce. And he just couldn't keep it down. That was a great chance. Danny,
Alan.
Go on,
City were great over both legs. I think they dominated and deserved to go through without a shadow of a doubt. But I think, to win this competition, there are moments where you need elements of luck. And I think they had that in the first game, obviously with Bellingham when the goal was disallowed, which was never a foul on Ederson. That could change the game. And even last night, the penalty. It's a contentious one. I think, and City get fortunate because once they go to VAR, it's a very, very long VAR check. Technically, by the letter of the law, because it hits his head and then hits his arm.
Did it definitely hit his head?
I thought so.
I think it did. I think it. Well, it skims his hair. Not something that me and you have to worry about, Alan.
No,
it wouldn't. That'd have been clear and obvious that it didn't hit our hair. But I think it definitely hits his head. And this is I think this is a really dangerous precedent to go down. But I think common sense prevailed in that. And I think because his arm was outstretched, it clearly hit his arm. There was the minimal touch of his head. It didn't divert the ball or make a difference going onto his arm. And maybe technically it wasn't correct, but I think it was the right decision because it should have been a penalty, and Mahrez dispatches it. So that goes in City's favour at that point. So don't get me wrong, I'm not saying City were lucky in any way, shape or form, but you do need elements of luck if you're going to go on and win the Champions League.
So what about looking ahead now? Look, crikey, we've got Chelsea coming up, which I think is a real tough game. Chelsea defensively now are, I think they're really on song. I think it's a tough one. But this is mouthwatering. City against Paris. Wow. So, Danny, do you think Pep will change systems or be worried about the threat on the counter? Or will he just say, let them worry about us?
I hope he will just play what he's been playing, because, and it will be with the false nine. Aguero. You have to remember, City have done so well this season without Sergio Aguero. Everyone talks about Liverpool and Virgil van Dijk missing. Aguero gives you 20 goals a season. That's what he's done every single season since he's been pretty much, there or thereabouts when he's been fit. They've missed that. So they've done all that sort of minus 20 goals from their best striker. And they've managed to do it with a false nine, tinkering with who plays in that at times. I think City have just got to go out and play their normal game. They've got to rely on, the defence to be solid. And we've seen them do that this season. They can be very, very good. It's going to be an enthralling tie, because whatever the score, even if somebody's 2-0 up with, winning 2-0 overall with 5 minutes to go, both teams could score 2 goals.
How do we see the other one going, Ali? Real, Chelsea?
I think that's
another cracker.
It's a tough one to call.
I fancy Chelsea in that
one. So do
bizarrely.
I, Danny. So do I.
Well, not bizarrely, but I just think again Chelsea at the moment they've got on a bit of a roll, and they're grinding out results, a bit like City have done. When they maybe and over the course of 2 legs, City weren't outstanding, in both those games, but they got through, and I think that's what Chelsea are starting to do at the moment. But when you talk about the quadruple, if they beat Chelsea at the weekend, City, Leicester draw Southampton, huge favourites. Obviously in that game. Tottenham, again, favourites going into that game. We know Tottenham can be great on their day, but I think everybody would expect them to beat them at the moment, although Jose could come up with something special. Beat PSG and a fancy City in the final. So, they're 3 or 4 wins away from the quadruple, which would just be unbelievable.
Danny, tell us about Alan, the big Alan and I were discussing earlier on there. It seems like a distant memory where everybody was screaming, Phil Foden will have to go out and loan, he's not getting enough game time, this, that, and the next thing. What a transformation. He looks as though he can't get left out of the team at this moment in time.
Yeah, he's very, very good, isn't he? I think this season he had to play this many games. Last season I thought he would have played more, but he didn't. This season he's come in and he's now starting to become a regular, and that's what he needs, because he's 20. Coming up sort of. Obviously 21 next birthday. You've got to be, if you're that good and you've got the talent that he's got, you need to be playing week in, week out. And if he hadn't have played as many games this season, then I would have been sort of starting to get concerned. Look at the development of Mason Mount, the way that he went on loan a couple of times, and now he's a regular. And a lot of it's that experience of being in the right positions at the right time. We know these players have got ability. But, you've both played the game for so many years. You have to learn those positions on the pitch, and you only get that through experience, where to be at the right time, where to be to receive the ball, where to be to close your opposition down, all these types of things. And you've got to play that. You can't play that in under-23s. It doesn't work. You can't learn that in the reserves. You have to learn that in competitive football. And I think he's doing that now. And his goal last night was an opportunist goal. He picked it up, he saw the gap, drove it in. I think the goalkeeper should do better, if I'm honest, but it's a fantastic strike.
Hit the target, hasn't he? Dan, what about, where are you with, because you're talking about Foden there, you're talking about Mount, and Ali and I have already touched on, what a decision that the England manager Gareth's got to make. What about Trent Alexander now? He can't leave him out, can he?
We can, and the problem is Trent was sensational for 2 years, and we all know he was amazing going forward. He was absolutely brilliant. Creativity and all those types of things was superb. But there was always an issue about being caught out positionally, defensively. Young player, this is what happens. He's a defender. He just wants to keep going forward and keep. But he did get caught out from time to time in a positional sense. And when you're going into England, aren't looking at the group stages. They're looking at the quarter-final, semi-final, and hopefully the final, of the Euros. You're going to come up against really good opposition, in those games. And if you're not defensively sound, you're going to get found out. Is Kyle Walker in better form and he's more experienced? Yes. Kieran Trippier's had a fantastic season.
Yeah, to be fair, I haven't seen much of him. Yeah, you're right.
And there are lots. Reece James can also play wing back. Trippier can play wing back. So you're looking at the balance of it. And unfortunately, there are 5 or 6 right backs that could all go, and he's only likely to take 2, maybe 3, with one that can play wing back or play centre half. So, it's just unfortunate that his form has dipped at the wrong sort of time, and other players have come into form. But that's football, isn't it?
Danny, what about? I mean, we're correctly singing the praises of Foden about the time he's getting and all that stuff and game time. Should be a little bit concerned with Raheem's form. I know he's not, I definitely think his form will come back because he's too good a player, but is it cause for concern for somebody like Gareth?
It's a strange one, isn't it? I don't know whether it's his. It just seems to be getting left out for some reason. It's not like he was going through games and was like, Sterling's off the boil a little bit. It's sort of he had a rest and City did well, and then sort of Guardiola left him out again and then left him out again. And you're thinking. I think even in the first leg, when the game sort of started to open up a little bit, you're just thinking, perfect for Sterling to come on. And
I thought he was drifting in and out of games, Danny, to be honest.
Again. But I think you often do that as a wide player high up the pitch. It's hard to be involved, sort of all the time. But yeah, again, it's one of those, isn't it? You're thinking, well, he's not getting a game for Manchester City, but he's been so good again over the last few seasons. I still think he's one of those players that in a forward position you can afford to take a gamble, and he definitely goes to the Euros.
Danny, I've got your break here. Just a quickie tonight. Do Arsenal go through against Slavia?
No.
Ooh. No problem for United, no?
Oh, they're through. Yeah. That's
interesting.
Whatever colour shirts they wear doesn't matter. They're going through.
Brilliant, Danny. Thank you,
Cheers, Dan.
Danny Mills. There you go. So it was a straight no.